Hey guys, coming to me another movie for you guys, and this movie reviewing, I want to check out this movie for a couple of reasons. One, because it's a Spike Lee movie, and I've never seen a Spike Lee movie before, and I was very interested in that. Two, I heard this was the first movie produced by, well, actually distributed by Amazon Studios, and that enough made me very interested in this movie. And finally, it's available to rent on iTunes, though I did not rent it on iTunes because it's $10. No, thank you. I'm not renting a movie for $10. I'm just not gonna do that. Unless that movie was the last 5 years, which I bought, that's different. That's a different case, but when it comes to movies that I don't really know much about, I'm not just gonna rent it for $10. So obviously, watched it on Solar Movie, and that movie is Chi-Raq. I really did not know much going into Chi-Raq except for the cast and the fact that Spike Lee was the director of it. I did buy the soundtrack because I heard the movie was a musical, and that alone intrigued me. And overall, what did I think of Chi-Raq? Chi-Raq, for the most part, is a very good movie. I really enjoyed this movie. There were a lot of things that really do work. There are some things that doesn't work. I will definitely say that there are quite a few things in this movie that really didn't work as well as they might have wanted it to. But for the most part, I really do think this movie worked, and I really enjoyed it. Now let's get to the plot of Chi-Raq, which the plot of this movie I really do love, I have to say, and it's one of the things that really did intrigue me. Basically, the movie is based on the Greek play Lysistrata, which was also a musical called Lysistrata Jones. That's how I knew it, at least, as the musical Lysistrata Jones. And if you guys know that story, basically the story in this movie is that Chicago is in a time of war. There's gang violence everywhere. People are getting shot constantly. And one day, a tragic event happens when a tragic event happens and it just goes way too far to the point where they need to take action. And Lysistrata, the girlfriend of Chi-Raq, who is the leader of this gang, basically wants to put a stop to it, and she thinks that the main way to do this is to stop, for all of the women in the gang, to stop offering sex to these men, to basically distract them and stop them from fighting. And she wants to fight for world peace, and basically that's the plot of Chi-Raq. And I really do love that plot, and there's a lot of things that really do work, and like I said, a lot of things that don't work. First of all, I really do love the story of Lysistrata. I think it's a really fun story. There's a lot you can do with it. And this way, I really know how it was gonna work exactly, mainly just because the fact, sorry, someone's calling me, I don't know who that is, but, mainly because of the fact that I really didn't know what was gonna happen, how that was gonna work in a movie about like gang violence, things like that. Surprisingly, it actually worked pretty well, mainly because of the cast. The cast here was really great. I think everyone did a great job, but without a doubt, the thing that carries this film the best and the stand on this film is Tiona Paris as Lysistrata. She was fantastic. She has everything Lysistrata should have. I mean, the character Lysistrata is as old as Greek mythology. I mean, it's an old story, but she really pulled off the character very well. She gave off the sex appeal of the character. She is quite attractive. I will definitely say that. She gave off the sex appeal. She gave off the comedy that character deserves. And you also really see her passion. You see why Lysistrata wants to end this. You see that she just wants to do whatever she can. She doesn't even know if this is really going to work. It's just an idea that comes to her head through talking to some women. And I really think she did a very good job throughout this film. I definitely really liked her character. She had some very funny moments and really, I think, carried the entire film for me. I have seen her before in Dear White People. Not one of my favorite things that she's done. I think she was really good in here, but by far this was her best performance. I definitely think that she has the potential to be a really big star, and I definitely think we're going to hear more about Tiona Paris after this movie. She definitely did a very good job. Who surprised me the most was Nick Cannon as Chi-Raq. He was great in this movie. I didn't even know Nick Cannon could really act. I mean, if you've seen him on All That or like the Nick Cannon show, yeah, he wasn't very good. I mean, he really wasn't very good. And the most I've seen Nick Cannon since then is be the host of America's Got Talent. Yeah, he does a good job on that. I think he's a good host, but I never really saw him as an actor in a movie. But he really did a good job here. I like the character of Chirac. He is a bit one note, I will definitely say that, but there are some good scenes with him. You do see him being in this gang and be the leader. But he does bring up my main problem in the film is that we don't actually see, I think, enough of the gang. I think we focus a lot more on Lysistrata, that we don't really see enough of the gang, and a lot of it does become a bit one-sided, but I did think he did a really good job. John Cusack was really good in this movie. There's this one scene where he gives this sermon, and while he's talking about some things that I don't necessarily agree with, his passion was there, and I definitely really did see it. I think he did a very good job. Sam Jackson, oh my god, Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson narrates this film as Dolma Dace, and Dolmy Dace, I think his name is pronounced, and he is just awesome as usual. Sam Jackson, you can narrate anything you want to. I mean, he is just great narrating this movie. He did a great job, and he was really funny as usual. You guys know I love Sam Jackson. In my opinion, he's one of my favorite actors working today, and this is not the last movie I'll be reviewing this year that has Sam Jackson in it, okay? You guys know that there's a movie that has Sam Jackson in it that I have not reviewed yet. Well, that's coming, but, yeah, he really did a great job here. Wesley Snipes was really good in this movie. I thought he was really great. Angela Bassett was a bit over the top at times. I definitely will say that. I think some of her acting did feel a bit out of place, but for the most part, she was really great. Jennifer Hudson was also really, really good in this movie, because she is a huge part of the tragedy that occurs in this film, and I definitely think she did a very good job. She really brought a lot of emotion to her role, and definitely she was really, really great. Overall, the whole cast, I thought, was really great overall. They all did a really good job, and I was very impressed by them. The directing here by Spike Lee, like I said, this is my first Spike Lee film, and I think this was a good choice because I heard Spike Lee films have very deep ideas and really do get into those ideas very well, and I really do appreciate the direction he went with this movie. Definitely his directing here was really good for the most part. I definitely really did like his directing. I like the way he brought up this issue. If you guys are also know why it's called Chi-Raq, because the way they start out the movie is they talk about all these, murders that have happened in Iraq and then compare it to everything that's happened in Chicago, which I thought was a really cool choice, the way that he decided to do that. His directing, I thought, was really good and also very, very funny. I mean, this movie at times was hilarious, honestly. Seeing these men being tortured by these women not being able to give them the sexual favors they want, I thought was really funny. Is it a bit dated? Yeah. Does it exactly work in this time? Maybe not, but I thought it worked for the most part. I thought it was very funny, and I definitely enjoyed that. And I thought his directing overall was really great, and I like that he wasn't afraid to go into some really serious territory. The movie is funny, like I said, but it is also going into some serious territory. It's dealing with some serious themes, and they treated them very, very well. They showed why this is a big issue. I mean, this is something that happens in Chicago, and people have said, "Oh, Chi-Raq, that's insulting to Chicago." The reason his name is Chi-Raq is because he's supposed to represent all of the violence that goes on in Chicago. Chicago's like this, okay, guys? That's nothing new. I mean, what you hear in the movie is true. There are people getting killed in Chicago all the time. It's insane. You really don't want to go there. I've heard many people say one of the areas you don't want to visit nowadays is Chicago because there's just constant gang violence there. And you really do see that in this movie. I think they portrayed that very, very well. The screenplay was a bit jumbled. I definitely will say that. I do think the screenplay was a bit jumbled, but I really do command the screenplay because if you guys don't know, most of what we hear in the screenplay is all done in rhyme. Pretty much they're rhyming throughout the whole thing, which I thought was a really cool idea and really kept me invested. Sometimes they would abandon it and it didn't exactly work. Definitely there were some times where I'm like, they're not rhyming here. Why are they rhyming here? It didn't exactly work for me, but I really do appreciate them trying to do something different there. It begged the viewer to keep watching, and they definitely did a very good job with that. I really did enjoy the way that everything was done in rhyme. A really cool idea, definitely. And especially using modern day dialogue and putting it in rhyme. I've seen this done before. I'll give you an example of a way to do this and a way not to do this. Romeo plus Juliet is the exact way they shouldn't have done this, in the sense that they use Shakespearean dialogue to tell a modern day story. It doesn't exactly work. When you use modern day dialogue and just tell in a rhymish, fashion, it really did work here. I thought they did it very, very well because you felt like you were in the modern times. The dialogue didn't feel off, but they were rhyming, and I thought it was really cool the way they did that, and I really appreciate that. It really kept me invested and really showed that this film was trying to respect its source material, which was something it did very, very well. And at times, this did kind of feel like a stage play, and I really liked that. Definitely really great writing. The story overall, like I said, is very funny. There are a lot of scenarios that worked out very well. My only thing with this movie is that it definitely did get a bit heavy-handed at times, definitely a bit over the top in terms of what they would do with this. I mean, we're supposed to take this seriously, and then suddenly we're not. You know, the tone was a bit jumbled, I think, at points, and definitely could have been a bit different than it was, because I definitely, like I said, I do think the tone was a bit jumbled. There'd be times where you were supposed to laugh, and then there are times where you're not supposed to laugh, and it really didn't work as well as I wanted to. I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to laugh here, but why not here? That didn't really work for me necessarily. However, there are some very funny moments. There definitely were some moments where I was cracking up. I mean, just thinking about this town, I mean, what Liz Estrada does, she doesn't just do it to Chicago. She does it all around the world. It's really funny, and I definitely enjoyed that. Like I said, probably one of the funniest movies I've seen all year. And seeing these guys just, it's just, tortured over the fact that they can't, sexually attract these women, and these women can't give them sexual favors is very funny, and I definitely love seeing that. I thought that was very funny. I definitely enjoyed that as well. They did that very well. And also, the third half of this movie, a really, really good twist came up that I definitely really appreciate and didn't really see coming at all. And I definitely like the way that was done. And they handled the gang stuff very well. I really appreciate that. And they didn't go in the direction I thought they were going to go in, because let me just say that gun control is brought up in this movie. And that's not necessarily something that I think you can handle well. I just don't think you can. And I'm glad they didn't really bring that up. They really do talk about like world peace, things like that. And I think they handled all that very, very well. That's something I really did appreciate. The cinematography in this movie was very, very, very well done, honestly. The cinematography looked incredible, I have to say. This is a movie that you really do feel like you're in Chicago. You feel like there are just things that could happen at any point, and I definitely think they handled all of that very, very well. I really love the cinematography in this movie. It's a gorgeous movie to look at, and the costumes look great. The gang stuff, I mean, everything just looked very realistic, and I really did like that. And Sam Jackson's look as well. I mean, that look is just awesome. I really think the cinematography is one of the best things about this film, without a doubt. Let's talk about the music in this movie. Supposedly, this movie is a musical, and I don't really see it that way. There are points in this movie where characters will start singing, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Like, for example, any point in the movie where characters are singing, I don't really understand. There are some points, okay, maybe before John Cusack gives a sermon, that made sense, but why do we open this movie with Chi-Raq singing? It didn't really make sense to me, mainly because of the fact that we never see that again. That didn't really work for me. But the songs in this movie are very good. They are very catchy, and I definitely appreciate a lot of them. It's just, I feel like they could have stuck more with it. If supposedly this is supposed to be a musical, there's a scene where Jennifer Hudson is singing, but we're not seeing her singing. It's more like it's going on in her head in the background, and I would have actually wanted to see characters maybe burst down a song. Just go more into that, get a bit more ballsier with this movie. And it wasn't bad what they did. I just felt like they could have done a bit more because supposedly this is a musical, and it really didn't feel that way to me. It didn't feel like a musical really at all, and I didn't really feel that. So, it really didn't feel like a musical. The editing was fine. This movie is very quickly edited, definitely. There were some points where I did feel like they were hammering things a bit, and there are some repetitive scenes. I personally think there are, especially in the second half of the film, there are definitely some repetitive scenes. Specifically, Wesley Snipes' character. I didn't really love his character in the movie. I like what he was trying to do, but I didn't really love his character, and I thought he was a bit overused, definitely. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed Chi-Raq for the most part. Is it as great as it could have been? No, but it's definitely better than it could have been. I honestly think an idea like this doesn't necessarily seem like it could work, and they made it work pretty well. I definitely will say that. There are some things that really didn't work out as well. In terms of, like I said, the music, and I did feel like I said, the gangster feel. We did get the gangster feel. It's just I don't really feel like we got enough of Chi-Raq's character arc. But like I said, there was a very good reveal towards the end. I definitely really did appreciate Chi-Raq overall. I would definitely recommend. I think it's a movie that is not for everyone. There are going to be some people that might not like this movie as much. I definitely could think of some people that absolutely would hate this movie. But if you appreciate the difference in its style and definitely see it as the way it is, and them trying to just update this story and show it and tell it in a different way, which I really do appreciate, and also appreciate Spike Lee's message that he's trying to give, which really what the movie's trying to say is that the movie's not necessarily about world peace. It's just about keeping the peace, trying to keep things relevant, and trying to bring balance. That's really what it's all about, is that Liz Estrada wants to bring balance to this town. I definitely love seeing that, and how someone can just change something. They did that very, very well. But overall, guys, I'm definitely gonna give Chi-Raq a 4 out of 5 or a B plus. It's not an amazing movie. It's not as great as I thought it was gonna be, but it's definitely not as bad as it definitely could have been. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw of Chi-Raq. If you have seen it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Like I said, I would recommend it. Don't rent it on iTunes. It's $10. Just don't do that. Honestly, don't do that. But I will see you guys next week, which will be for another movie review. Which we are down to three more movie reviews for this year, guys. Three more. I can't believe it, but yeah, three more movie reviews, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.